They laughed the moment Lily Carter walked through the dusty fairground gate with a mason jar clutched in both hands. The Tennessee air was thick with the scent of funnel cakes, diesel, and late summer humidity, and everything about the rural K9 auction felt too loud, too adult, too serious for an 8-year-old girl in muddy sneakers and a ponytail tied with a red ribbon. But Lily didn't notice the stares. She noticed him. Titan lay near the back fence of the holding area, large, gray-muzzled, scar down one ear, one back leg favoring the other. He wasn't barking like the younger dogs. He wasn't jumping on the kennel door, desperate to be noticed. He just watched, quiet, still, eyes sharp as if the world was a battlefield and he was the last soldier left standing. The auctioneer's voice boomed across the makeshift arena. Next up, retired K9 unit, formerly Nashville PD, age 10, previous injury to the hind leg, good temperament but no longer recommended for active service, starting bid at. Nobody raised a hand. A few officers lowered their heads. A couple of farmers shook theirs. Parents whispered to their kids that this one wasn't for families, wasn't for games. A washed-up dog like that meant vet bills and heartbreak. And then a little hand shot up. "I'll take him," Lily shouted. The crowd didn't just murmur, they laughed. Not cruelly at first, just disbelief. Then the jokes followed like flies to honey. "She thinks she's buying a pony ride. That old dog's good for sleeping, not playing. Sweetheart, that's not a pet, that's a hospital bill." Her mom flushed red, embarrassed but frozen. She had told Lily they were only visiting, just looking, just seeing the dogs. They weren't buying anything. But Lily stepped forward, freckles scrunched, determination far older than her years flickering fiercely across her face. "I'm serious," she insisted. "He's mine." The auctioneer blinked. This wasn't in the script. "Sweetheart, you, got money for this." Without hesitation, Lily twisted the lid off the mason jar. Crumpled bills, worn quarters, a few shiny dollar coins clinked together as she dumped them onto the wooden table like treasure. Every cent she'd saved cutting grass, washing neighbors' cars, and selling lemonade for months. "I counted it twice," she said confidently. $274. Nobody laughed now. They stared. Even the sheriff leaned forward. The auctioneer hesitated. Well, normally these dogs go for a lot more, especially trained, but given his condition. He glanced toward Titan, then toward the sheriff, who gave the slightest nod. "Sold." A whisper rolled through the crowd, like wind bending tall grass. She really bought him. Lily didn't walk to him. She ran. Titan didn't move when she stopped in front of his kennel. He didn't wag his tail. He didn't lick her hand through the metal bars like dogs in movies did. He just looked at her. Not like a child. Like a partner. And that was when Lily knew she'd made the right choice. The gate swung open. The officer who'd last handled Titan knelt beside him, rubbing the fur between his ears with a heaviness in his eyes. "You'll be okay, old boy," he whispered, voice breaking in the middle. "You deserve a good rest." He clipped the leash into Lily's shaking hand. "You take care of him," he told her gently. He's a good one, a real good one." "I will," she promised. But the whispers returned as soon as she stepped out. Parents shaking their heads. Kids giggling behind their hands. She wasted her money. He won't last a year. Bless her heart, she doesn't know what she's doing. Her mom forced a smile in public, but her heart pounded with anxiety. Bills were already tight. A retired K9 meant vet costs, medicine, special food, things they didn't have room for. She nearly opened her mouth to apologize to the officer, to say this was a mistake, to say they'd reconsider. Then Titan did something subtle. He shifted forward, placing his body slightly between Lily and the crowd, angling himself so he could see everything. Shoulders squared, head raised, protective, alert, as if some invisible switch had flipped the second he understood. She was his now. Her mom's breath caught. That wasn't a broken dog. That was a guardian. The drive home was quiet except for the hum of the truck engine and the rhythmic wind sweeping through the cracked window. Every mile they passed seemed to peel another layer of noise off the world until it was just Lily and Titan in their own little universe. He didn't curl up. He didn't sleep. He watched. Fields, roads, cars, every reflection, every shadow. When they finally reached their small farmhouse at the edge of town, Titan stepped out like he was stepping onto duty. He sniffed the yard, took in the fence line, scanned the tree line beyond. Not once did he hesitate. Inside, neighbors had already heard. They came. They stared. They whispered. Little boys with baseball caps nudged each other. Teen girls rolled their eyes. Men folded arms across their chests with that "told you so" look without saying a thing. He can't run. He won't fetch. He's too old to protect anything. They were right about one thing. He didn't fetch. He didn't play. He didn't tumble around in the dirt or chase butterflies like a cute family pet. He followed Lily. Everywhere. When she walked to the porch, he followed. When she went inside, he followed. When she brushed her teeth, he slept by the bathroom door. When she slept, he laid facing the bedroom entrance, like he was waiting for something only he could sense. He wasn't a toy. He wasn't a pet. He was working. Even retired, his instincts refused to retire. That night, while the house settled into quiet darkness, thunderclouds crawled across the Tennessee sky and the old wooden walls creaked like they'd always done. But Titan listened differently. Every sound mattered. Every movement in the night meant something. And Lily, curled beneath her blanket, felt something she hadn't felt since her father left for deployment months earlier. Safe. Like nothing in the world could get to her without going through Titan first. Around midnight, the first rumble shook the windows. Rain began to fall. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote cried and crickets cut off at once, like nature itself held its breath. Titan's ears lifted. Slow. Cautious. Focused. Not at the storm. Not at the noise. At the woods. Something out there didn't belong. His muscles tensed, pain flickering through his injured hind leg, but he didn't lie back down. He stood, tail low but rigid, breathing steady, eyes locked somewhere Lily's sleeping mind couldn't see. The world outside the Carter farmhouse had changed. And Titan knew it. He moved closer to Lily's bed, and then suddenly he lifted his head sharply, nostrils flaring. Something was coming. Something real. Something dangerous. And while the town slept peacefully, unaware, Titan was already preparing to face it. Morning light poured through the slats of the old farmhouse blinds, casting stripes of gold across the wooden floor. Lily sat cross-legged, brushing Titan's rough fur, careful over the scarred ear and the patch of fur missing from his hind leg. Everyone else in town had laughed at her choice. Her classmates called him Grandpa Dog, the schoolyard nickname echoing like an insult across the playground. Even the lunch lady had teased, "That dog's more trouble than a homework assignment." But Lily didn't care. She scratched behind his ears and whispered, "You're brave, Titan. You'll show them." Titan, for his part, didn't wag his tail, didn't roll onto his back for a belly rub. He simply sat, one paw slightly raised, chest rising slowly, eyes scanning the walls and windows as though he could see through them. The world was loud, chaotic, and unpredictable, and Titan, though old, was still on duty. Over the next week, Lily discovered just how much retired meant. Titan didn't fetch. He didn't play. He didn't chase butterflies or sit still for treats. He watched the streets, the shadows beneath the porches, the wind moving through the tall grass. When Lily walked to the mailbox, he stayed 2 steps behind, ears flicking to the edges of the road. When she ran to get her backpack from the porch, he followed at a measured trot, head low, alert. Lily's friends began to notice. "You really like that old dog?" one classmate asked, squinting at Titan, who sat on the porch like a statue. "I like him," Lily said simply. "He's smart." "Smart? He just sits there. He doesn't even bark." "That's because he doesn't have to," Lily replied, brushing Titan's fur along his spine. "He knows things I don't see." Her mother sighed as she watched them. "I just hope you know what you're doing, Lily. He's fragile." Fragile? That word hit Lily differently. She didn't see Titan as fragile. She saw resilience. She saw loyalty etched into every scar. She saw a soldier who had done his duty and still stood, even when everyone else thought he was done. But Titan's instincts weren't just for show. By the third night, they became undeniable. Lily had just turned off her bedside lamp and pulled the quilt up to her chin when Titan stiffened, low growl rumbling from deep in his chest. His ears twitched. His eyes were locked on the corner of her room, the one near the old window that faced the woods behind the house. Lily followed his gaze. At first, she saw nothing. The wind rattled the window panes, and shadows from the trees danced across the walls. But Titan didn't relax. He stepped closer, placing himself between Lily and the window. The growl grew deeper, a warning. Lily's stomach tightened. "Titan, it's okay, it's just the wind." He didn't move. His tail stiffened, nose twitching. And then a faint sound cut through the air, a small, piercing scream, far off in the woods, almost swallowed by the night. Lily's heart stopped. She leapt to her feet. "Who's there?" she called, but her voice sounded fragile, swallowed by the darkness. Titan didn't hesitate. He bolted for the back door, claws scraping against the wooden porch. Lily followed, tripping over the steps in her haste, heart hammering. By the edge of the yard, Titan stopped, nose low, body rigid, pointing toward the tree line where shadows wove together like living things. "Titan?" Lily whispered, unsure if she was scolding or pleading. But Titan was already moving. He surged into the dark woods, old leg loping faster than anyone expected. Lily ran after him, adrenaline making her small legs feel stronger faster. The night swallowed them both. Minutes stretched. Lily strained to keep up. Leaves whipped against her arms, twigs tore at her jeans, and the screaming continued, weak, desperate. Titan never slowed. He followed the scent, the sound, the invisible signal of danger only he could detect. Suddenly he stopped, head down, chest trembling, nose quivering, and then the world shifted. A little boy, mud-smeared, eyes wide and red from crying, stumbled into the clearing. She's gone," he yelled. "My sister, she's not, she didn't come back." Lily grabbed his arm. "Slow down, tell me what happened." Through ragged breaths, he explained. They had been exploring the edge of the woods near the fairgrounds, wandering off during a festival event. His little sister had gone ahead, and then nothing. He heard screams, tried to follow, but the crowd, the lights, and the night swallowed her. By the time the officers arrived, the reality of the situation hit them all. The woods were dense, too dense. Flashlights barely cut through the blackness. Their radios crackled in frustration. Every adult hesitated, unsure where to start. Except Titan. Without warning, he yanked the leash from Lily's hands, or perhaps she let go, and charged into the forest, old leg pumping with astonishing strength. Lily stumbled after him, yelling, trying to keep up. The officers shouted for them to wait, for the child to stay put, but Titan ignored everything. Then came the scream again, but louder, closer, filled with terror and urgency. The officers froze. Lily's legs burned. Her chest heaved. She had never moved this fast in her life. And then, just ahead, Titan's deep bark sliced through the night. Something or someone was moving in the shadows. Titan had found her. The girl, 5 years old, trembling and backed against a thick tree, eyes wide with fear, arms wrapped around herself. A man loomed over her, grabbing for her. Titan's growl became a snarl. teeth flashing in the torchlight from the officers' flashlights. For a second, the world seemed suspended. The officers shouted, the man bolted, Titan lunged, Lily screamed, stumbling over roots. The forest echoed with shouts, growls, and the thudding of paws against the earth. Titan's injured leg didn't slow him, not one step. And in that moment, every whisper in town, the laughter, the doubt, the mockery, felt ridiculous, meaningless. Titan wasn't useless. He was a hero. But then, just as quickly as he had reached her, Titan froze. His chest heaved. His paws trembled. He collapsed into the dirt, sliding to the edge of the girl's small frame. Lily ran to his side, tears streaming down her face. "Titan, no, don't leave me." The officers reached them, surrounding the girl, securing the man, calling for backup. They lifted Titan, murmuring disbelief, glancing at the little girl cradling his head. He saved her," one officer said, voice shaking. Lily's sobs mingled with the night. She stroked his fur, whispering, you're the best ever." But Titan didn't respond, not yet. His eyes fluttered weakly, chest rising slowly. The adrenaline had worn off, the old injuries screaming. Lily pressed closer, desperate. And in that quiet forest, amidst sirens, shouts, and chaos, a thought formed in everyone's mind. What if he doesn't make it? Titan, the useless dog, the retired officer, the one everyone laughed at, was hanging by a thread. And Lily had no idea if her best friend, her protector, would survive the night. The suspense stretched across the trees like the dark velvet sky. Something had been saved, yes, but at what cost? The night wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. The forest seemed endless. Shadows shifted like living things, the underbrush scratching at Lily's legs as she ran, tears streaking her dirt-smudged face. Titan had collapsed once already, his gray muzzle streaked with sweat and dirt, his old hind leg trembling as he stood over the little girl he had saved. But now, fueled by instinct and loyalty, he pushed himself forward again, dragging Lily's heart along with every bounding step. The officers' flashlights pierced the darkness, beams cutting through the dense canopy, but they were slow, cumbersome, fumbling through the fallen leaves and gnarled roots. One by one, their shouts were swallowed by the thick night air. "She's here, Titan with her," Lily screamed, desperate to guide them. But the man they were chasing had vanished into the shadows. Whoever he was, he knew the woods. He had an advantage Titan didn't, and yet Titan didn't falter. The little girl, shivering, clung to Titan's neck as he carefully positioned his body between her and the edge of the clearing. His growl rumbled low in his chest, a warning that vibrated through the forest. Lily ran to him, kneeling beside the trembling girl, brushing sweat-drenched hair from her face. "You're safe," Lily whispered. "Titan saved you." The girl's wide eyes searched Titan's face, lips trembling. He fought him?" she asked, voice barely audible. "He did," Lily said, hugging her to her chest. "He's the bravest dog in the world." Behind them, the sound of snapping twigs betrayed movement. The man had returned, his shadow stretching over the clearing like a nightmare. He lunged at the girl again, desperation and malice mixing in every movement. Titan reacted instantly. Though his legs shook beneath him, Titan lunged with precision, forcing the man off balance. Teeth flashed, not biting to maim but to warn, to assert. The man stumbled backward, hitting a tree hard enough to stagger him. Titan pressed his advantage, body low, eyes locked, growl rising into a snarl that echoed in the cold forest air. Lily screamed at the officers, "Now, now!" The men surged forward, tackling the assailant to the muddy ground. He struggled, but Titan didn't let go, keeping him at bay, protective and fierce. The officers cuffed him, shouting for backup, for an ambulance, for anything to contain the chaos. The little girl clung to Lily, sobbing into her shoulder, shivering from the adrenaline and cold night air. Titan knelt beside them, watching, chest heaving, muscles quivering with the effort he didn't have to give, but chose to. His gray muzzle glistened in the torchlight, a war hero's mask on a dog that nobody had believed in. And then it happened. Titan's legs buckled beneath him. "Titan!" Lily screamed, dropping to her knees beside him. She pressed her hands against his chest, feeling the rapid rise and fall, the uneven beat of his heart. "No, no, no, you can't leave me. Not now." The officers rushed to help, one lifting him gently into his arms. He didn't struggle. He only gave a soft whine, eyes closing as though exhausted from a lifetime of duty. The little girl reached over, stroking his fur, whispering, "Thank you, thank you." They carried him back to Lily's farmhouse, a convoy of lights and sirens slicing through the early morning fog. People began to gather, neighbors, reporters, even random strangers drawn by the commotion. News spread quickly. The little girl had been saved by a retired police K-9, and the town's laughter, disbelief and mockery turned into awe and silent admiration. Inside the farmhouse, the vet's clinic had been alerted. Dr. Harmon, veteran veterinarian, rushed to the front porch, flashlight in hand. He knelt beside Titan, running his hands over the old dog's body, feeling for fractures, checking vitals. Lily hovered, not daring to breathe too loudly, afraid it would be the final straw for Titan's weak body. "He's old," Dr. Harmon said quietly, eyes scanning the ceiling as if hopping for divine guidance. "And his leg, it's worse than I thought. But he's strong, a fighter. Just hold him still." Titan whimpered, head resting against Lily's shoulder. He didn't move, didn't struggle. He was done fighting the world. He had done the one thing that mattered. But the vet's concern didn't fade. Dr. Harmon's hands moved faster, calling out to his assistants. "Get the fluids ready. He's dehydrated, exhausted, and the adrenaline crash is severe. We need to stabilize him now, or he might." Lily's tears fell freely. She pressed her forehead to his, whispering every word she could think of. "You saved her. You saved everyone. I'm so proud of you. Please don't leave me." Titan's eyes fluttered weakly, ears twitching, but he didn't lift his head. His breathing slowed, shallow now, as though the night's heroics had drained every ounce of strength from him. The storm outside had grown stronger, rain pounding against the roof, echoing in the farmhouse like timpani, a natural drumline to the human and canine drama unfolding inside. Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating the gray streaks on Titan's muzzle and the worried, tear-streaked face of Lily. Minutes dragged like hours. Each tick of the clock punctuated the suspense, each heartbeat echoing in Lily's chest. The vet team worked tirelessly, giving fluids, checking vitals, murmuring encouragement to the old dog. Even the sheriff had come inside, leaning against the doorway, eyes wide with disbelief. He's a real hero," the sheriff muttered, voice low, almost reverent. Nobody expected that." Lily's sobs quieted only for a moment as she stroked Titan's fur. "You're not useless," she whispered, almost to herself. "Not now, not ever." Then, just as the first siren of backup faded into the distance, Titan's eyes opened fully, glowing faintly in the dim light. He gave a soft, trembling whine, as if to say, "I'm still here." Relief washed over the room, but so did fear. The vet's machine beeped steadily, but the old dog's body shivered, and each breath he took was a battle won only by sheer willpower. Lily held him tighter, whispering words of encouragement, guilt and pride intertwining. Outside, the town had gathered. People whispered, pointing toward the farmhouse windows where the lights flickered. Parents and children alike stared, not believing the story unfolding before them. The little girl, once terrified, clung to her rescuer, Titan, who had done the impossible, and the whispers were no longer of mockery. They were of awe. But Lily knew the night wasn't over. Titan had done everything he could for the girl, for the town, for her. But his body was fragile, a soldier finally stretched to the breaking point. And though the room was filled with praise, gratitude, and astonished murmurs, one thought dominated Lily's mind, chilling her to the bone. What if he doesn't make it? Titan had given everything, and now it was a race against time. The tension, heavy as the storm outside, pressed against the walls. Every beep of the monitor was a reminder of his frailty. Every breath he drew was a fragile victory. And outside, the rain continued to fall, relentless, as if the heavens themselves were holding their breath, waiting to see if this retired hero would survive the night that he had changed forever. And then in the darkest corner of the room, a shadow shifted, unseen by all but Titan. Something had been in the woods. Something had been waiting. Something wasn't finished yet. Lily, exhausted and soaked from the night's chaos, pressed her face to Titan's neck. "It's okay, boy," she whispered. "You're safe now." But deep down, she felt the chill crawling up her spine, a warning that the night's danger might not have ended with the girl's rescue. And Titan, despite his trembling paws and labored breathing, lifted his head ever so slightly, ears alert, nostrils flaring as if to confirm her fear. The night had one more test left for them. The first rays of dawn had not yet broken, but the chaos in the forest clearing had settled into an uneasy calm. Officers stood around the shivering little girl, keeping a protective circle as she clung to Lily. Titan lay a few feet away, muscles trembling, old injuries screaming in protest. He had saved her, yes, but the strain of the chase, the lunge, the confrontation had taken its toll. Every limb shivered beneath him like worn machinery, pushed beyond its limits. "Titan," Lily whispered, kneeling beside him. "Please, just a little more. You can rest after this." The little girl reached out, trembling fingers brushing the gray fur on his neck. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved me." Titan's ears flicked. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes, the eyes of a dog who had seen it all, shifted toward movement in the shadows. Something was still out there, something that had been watching, waiting. The officers had secured the man who tried to abduct the girl, but Titan's instincts told him the threat was larger, more complex. He rose slowly, staggering on his old leg, growl rumbling in his chest. Lily grabbed his collar, trying to steady him. "You can't, boy. You're hurt. You've done enough." Titan didn't listen. He lunged forward, staggering but refusing to give in. Every step was a testament to years of training, muscle memory, and a will that refused to die. The officers shouted, trying to stop him, but Titan was already moving toward the tree line where the rustling had started. And then they saw it. A shadow, sleek and dark, darted between the trees. It wasn't the man they had caught. It wasn't human at all, or at least, it wasn't fully human in the way their instincts screamed. Fear tightened the chest of every officer, and Lily's stomach dropped. Titan's growl deepened, a rumble that seemed to shake the leaves themselves. He advanced slowly, circling, muscles taut like coiled springs. The shadow moved again, emerging into a small clearing, revealing itself. Another dog, larger than Titan, sleek and trained, eyes glowing with eerie intelligence, teeth bared. A rogue K9, an unregistered, illegally trained attack dog, loose in the woods. The officers froze. "That's not supposed to be here," one whispered. Titan didn't hesitate. He charged. His injured leg barely slowed him. The rogue dog lunged to meet him. Teeth snapped in the moonlight, jaws clashing, fur flying in a storm of motion. Titan's growl was pure determination, a sound that carried through the forest like a battle cry. He dodged, pivoted, and struck, not recklessly, but strategically, using every ounce of his training. Lily gasped. "Titan, be careful," she cried, running toward him. The little girl clung to her, wide-eyed and silent, watching the confrontation unfold like a nightmare. The officers scrambled, trying to get a clear shot, trying to intervene, but Titan had the rogue dog distracted long enough for the officers to act. One officer tackled the other dog from behind while Titan held his ground, chest heaving, teeth bared, eyes never leaving his target. And then, with a final, powerful lunge, Titan forced the rogue dog to the ground. The officer quickly secured it with a leash, and the forest fell silent except for Titan's heavy breathing. He had won, not just for himself, not just for the girl, but for every life in that clearing. The adrenaline began to leave his body, replaced by exhaustion. His legs trembled violently. Lily ran to him, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Titan, you're hurt. You're too hurt." He didn't move. Not immediately. He lay there, chest heaving, eyes fluttering closed. The officers gathered around, shocked at the intensity and precision of the retired K-9's actions. He's amazing," one whispered. "I've never seen anything like that." Titan let out a soft whine, then collapsed fully onto his side. Lily dropped beside him, pressing her face to his fur, whispering every word she could think of. Praise, love, gratitude. "You're the best, Titan, the best ever," she murmured. The little girl approached, tiny hands stroking Titan's fur. I thought I was going to die," she admitted, voice trembling. "But he saved me." The storm that had been brewing outside the forest broke, rain pelting the clearing in sheets, drenching everyone and everything. The officers moved quickly, lifting Titan gently into one of the vehicles. Lily refused to let go, hands gripping his harness, tears soaking his fur. At the farmhouse, Dr. Harmon and his team worked feverishly. Titan's breathing was shallow, his body trembling from exhaustion and old injuries. IVs were placed, medications administered, vitals monitored. The little girl sat nearby, clutching Lily's hand, her tiny face streaked with dirt and tears, unable to comprehend how she had survived. They're saying he may not make it," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. Dr. Harmon shook his head gravely. "He's strong, but he's old, and he's pushed himself beyond what any dog should endure. He saved her life tonight. That's what matters. Now we fight to save him." Lily pressed closer to Titan, whispering softly into his ear, her tears mixing with his sweat. "You're not useless. Not ever. You're my hero, our hero." Outside, the storm raged, thunder shaking the windows. The officers and neighbors waited anxiously. News crews had already started gathering, flashes of cameras illuminating the farmhouse windows. Word of Titan's heroics had spread, turning ridicule into awe, disbelief into admiration. Yet even as the town watched, none of them knew the full story. The rogue dog had been trained by a criminal ring, its purpose to terrorize and intimidate. The man who tried to abduct the girl had connections deeper than anyone could imagine. And Titan, despite collapsing, bleeding, and nearly giving everything, had done the impossible. He had faced the danger head-on, and he had won. But there was no time to celebrate. The adrenaline crash left Titan vulnerable. His legs trembled. His chest rose unevenly. His head lolled against Lily's hands. The monitors beeped, each sound a reminder of how close they had come to losing him. Lily's heart pounded. "Stay with me, Titan, please stay with me." Dr. Harmon's hands moved quickly, checking vitals, adjusting medication, whispering reassurances to both the dog and the little girl. "He's a fighter," he murmured. "A real fighter. Don't lose hope now." Titan's eyes fluttered, weak but alive. He pressed his head gently against Lily's shoulder, tail thumping faintly. In that moment, amidst sirens, flashes, and the patter of rain, Lily realized something profound. Titan had never been useless. He had simply been waiting for the right moment to prove it. And though his body trembled and his muscles screamed in protest, Titan, the retired, mocked, broken K-9, had become the hero nobody expected. But as Lily stroked his fur and whispered promises of safety, a shadow moved outside the farmhouse windows. Something had followed them from the forest, something the storm and chaos hadn't yet revealed. Titan lifted his head, ears flicking toward the darkened tree line beyond the porch, eyes sharp, alert, ready. Even in his weakened state, he sensed it. And Lily realized, with a shiver crawling up her spine, that the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The real danger, what had been lurking all along, was still out there waiting. Titan's muscles twitched, his eyes locked on the darkness. He was ready. And the forest, the storm, and the town held their collective breath. The farmhouse was alive with tension. Rain battered the roof like a drumline, splashing across the porch and pooling in muddy streams along the yard. Inside, Titan lay on a thick blanket in the living room, his body trembling, chest heaving with uneven breaths. Lily refused to leave his side. She knelt on the floor, arms wrapped around his scarred neck, forehead pressed against his fur. Every shudder, every shallow inhale felt like a hammer blow to her chest. Dr. Harmon worked tirelessly. His hands moved with the precision of someone who had saved countless lives, yet never like this. Titan wasn't just another patient. He was a hero, a retired K-9 who had done the impossible and paid the price in every bone, muscle, and heartbeat. "Vitals are dropping again," one assistant called out. "He's hypotensive, heart rate's erratic." Dr. Harmon's jaw tightened. "We need to stabilize him now. Prepare the fluids, oxygen, and I want sedation ready if he crashes completely." Lily shook her head violently. "No, don't sedate him, please. He saved her. He saved everyone. He can't leave me." Dr. Harmon glanced at her, eyes softening but firm. "I know, Lily, I know he's special, but he's not invincible. He's strong, yes, but his body's exhausted. We need to help him fight before he collapses for good." Lily pressed her forehead to Titan's, whispering in a voice no one else could hear. "You've always been brave. You've always saved people. Please don't give up now. Not here. Not like this." Titan's chest rose slightly faster, a shaky inhale. His amber eyes flickered open, meeting Lily's gaze. It was a look filled with recognition, trust, and a silent promise. "I'm not done yet." But the monitor beeped sharp, alarming, and the numbers dropped again. Dr. Harmon adjusted the IV, hands moving with surgical precision. "We've got a chance. He's hanging on, but it's going to be close." Outside, the storm had intensified. Thunder rolled over the hills surrounding the farmhouse, and the wind rattled the windows. Neighbors had gathered, some bringing blankets, some holding umbrellas, faces pale with worry. News crews had begun to line the perimeter, cameras pointed at the glowing farmhouse windows. Word of Titan's heroics had spread like wildfire. The town had shifted from ridicule to awe overnight. But inside, none of that mattered. Only Titan, only Lily, only survival. The little girl he had saved sat quietly in a chair nearby, her small hand gripping Lily's. He's going to be okay, right?" she whispered, voice trembling. Lily swallowed, eyes never leaving Titan. I think so," she said, but even she wasn't sure. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the beeps of machines, the hiss of IV fluids, and Dr. Harmon's careful instructions. Titan's breathing was shallow, each rise and fall of his chest a battle. Every muscle shivered beneath Lily's touch. The old injuries, compounded with the adrenaline of the chase and fight, had pushed him beyond his limits. At one point, the monitor flatlined for a heart-stopping second. Lily screamed, clutching him tightly. "No, not now, not like this." Dr. Harmon's hands moved instantly, pressing a hand against Titan's chest, listening for a pulse. The flatline beeped again, but then returned to a slow, weak rhythm. Titan was still alive, barely but alive. Tears ran down Lily's cheeks. She pressed her lips to his muzzle, whispering every word of gratitude she could muster. "You're not useless. You're the bravest, strongest dog I've ever known. Please stay with me." The storm outside began to subside, but the tension inside the farmhouse remained. Titan's body was weak, trembling, and his breathing shallow. Dr. Harmon adjusted the oxygen mask gently over his muzzle, speaking softly. "He's going to need a long recovery. It won't be easy, but he's a fighter, and he's got you." Lily nodded, eyes never leaving Titan. "I'll stay with him," she promised. "Every second, every heartbeat." Hours bled into one another. The little girl slept in Lily's lap, exhausted from trauma and relief. Officers took turns keeping watch at the windows. The neighbors had returned home, some leaving food, some leaving notes of encouragement. But Lily refused to rest. She whispered stories to Titan, recounting every heroic thing he had done tonight, every life he had saved, every moment he had risked himself for others. And slowly, incredibly, Titan's body responded. He shifted slightly, tail brushing Lily's arm. His ears flicked at the sound of voices outside. He lifted his head weakly, eyes opening to meet Lily's once more. "You're still here," she whispered, voice cracking. "You didn't give up, you're still here." Titan let out a soft whine, not of pain but of acknowledgement. He had fought, endured, and survived. Not for glory, not for accolades, but for her, for the little girl, for the lives he had sworn to protect. By morning his breathing had stabilized, weak, unsteady, but alive. Dr. Harmon allowed Lily to sit beside him, brushing his fur, whispering reassurance. The little girl he had saved peeked over Lily's shoulder, eyes wide with admiration. I want to be brave like him," she said quietly. Lily smiled, though her eyes were red from crying. "He's teaching all of us," she said softly. "You can be brave too, just like Titan." Outside, the first sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the wet fields and casting a warm glow across the farmhouse. Neighbors began to trickle in again, bringing flowers and blankets. The story of Titan's heroics had spread, transforming skepticism into admiration. The town that had laughed at Lily for buying a useless dog now whispered his name with reverence. But even in the warmth of the morning, the shadow of what had happened lingered. Titan had faced a trained, dangerous rogue K9. He had fought a man who intended harm. He had pushed his body past the breaking point. And though he had survived, the experience had left scars, not just on his body but on Lily's heart. She pressed her forehead to his, hands gripping his fur. "You're my hero," she whispered. "You'll always be my hero." Titan gave a soft whine, tail flicking, eyes brightening slightly despite the exhaustion. He was still strong, still brave, still willing to fight for those he loved. But outside in the forest, movement stirred. The rogue K9 was gone, captured for now, but other dangers remained, unseen, waiting. And deep in Lily's mind, a single question burned. Was this truly over? The storm had passed. Titan had survived. The little girl was safe. And yet, every instinct in both their hearts whispered that the night's challenges were far from finished. Lily hugged Titan closer. "We'll face it together," she whispered. "Always together." And Titan, battered but unbroken, rested his head against her shoulder, ready to prove again and again that he was anything but useless. Days blurred into nights and nights blurred back into days. Titan lay in a sunlit corner of the farmhouse living room, blankets piled around him like a fortress. Every breath he drew was a reminder of the battle he had fought, the lives he had saved, and the price he had paid. Lily refused to leave his side. She read to him, told him stories, sang softly, and whispered words of encouragement into his ear. Every time he flinched in pain or whimpered from exhaustion, her small hands soothed him, and her voice reassured him that the world still needed him. Word of Titan's heroics had spread through the town like wildfire. The neighbors who had once whispered ridicule now approached carefully, offering blankets, food, and quiet praise. "He's remarkable," one elderly man said, bowing his head as he passed. "Never thought I'd see a dog like that in my lifetime." Even the sheriff, who had doubted Lily's decision to adopt Titan, stopped by almost every day. He brought a solemn respect in his gaze, standing quietly in the doorway, watching the girl and her dog. "He saved a life," the sheriff said once, voice low. "And he could have lost his own. You both did something incredible." Lily smiled faintly, brushing her fingers through Titan's fur. "He's not done yet," she said softly. "I think he still has work to do." Dr. Harmon had warned Lily that Titan would need weeks to recover fully, maybe months. Old injuries, combined with the strain of the chase and the fight with the rogue K9, had left his body frail. But Titan had a will of iron, and he fought every day, each step a victory. His legs trembled as he stood, but he refused to sit still for long. He wanted to move, to patrol, to do what he had always done: protect, serve, and remain vigilant. Lily began to notice small changes. Titan would lift his head at every sound: the distant bark of a dog, the hum of a car engine, the wind shifting through the trees. He would nudge her arm gently, demanding attention, guidance, and reassurance. And sometimes, just sometimes, he would tilt his head as if listening to a voice only he could hear, scanning the horizon with sharp, unwavering focus. One afternoon, as Lily brushed Titan's fur, she noticed him shift, pressing his weight gently against her leg. "You're tired," she whispered. "You've done enough, Titan. You've saved so many people already." He didn't move. He only nudged her hand, eyes locking with hers. It was a silent demand. "There's more to do. I'm not finished." Lily understood. She had felt it too. There was a larger purpose, one that went beyond the rescue in the woods. Titan's bravery, his loyalty, his refusal to give up, those weren't just traits of a retired K9. They were lessons, and Lily knew the town needed to see them. Soon, local news outlets began calling. Cameras flashed in the living room, reporters leaning over furniture, recording every detail of Titan's heroics. Lily told the story simply, letting the footage capture the truth. The dog no one believed in had saved a life, had stopped a dangerous threat, and had fought beyond what anyone thought possible. Social media lit up. Videos of Titan emerged, stitched together with the story of his fight in the forest. Thousands shared, commented, and praised him. "Bravest dog alive," one headline read. "Retired K9 defies all odds." Lily saw the transformation in the town. The whispers of mockery had turned into awe and admiration. But amidst the accolades and recognition, Titan remained humble. He didn't bark for attention. He didn't seek praise. He only waited, patient and vigilant, as if every pat on the head or whispered "good boy" reminded him of the greater responsibility he still carried. Weeks later, as his strength returned, Titan began walking more steadily. He followed Lily around the house, outside into the yard, and even along the nearby roads, scanning, alert, protective. Children who had once mocked him now approached carefully, hesitant but respectful. Adults paused when they saw him, nodding quietly. Everyone had learned a simple truth: courage and loyalty cannot be measured by age, size, or appearance. One evening, the sheriff arrived quietly with a folder in hand. "Lily," he said, kneeling beside her, "we've been discussing Titan. He's officially recognized now as a decorated K9, and there's a plan for him." Lily's eyes widened. "Plan? What kind of plan?" The sheriff smiled gently. "He can't go back into field duty, not safely, but we think he can train the next generation of K9s, teach them patience, bravery, loyalty, visit hospitals, schools, even help comfort kids who have been through trauma. His experience, his discipline, he can still serve the community in a way only he can." Lily felt tears prick her eyes. Titan nudged her hand as if understanding the weight of the conversation. He wasn't finished. He still had a purpose. And as he slowly walked to the edge of the yard, sniffing the air, alert to every sound, Lily realized something profound. Titan's heroism wasn't defined by the forest fight, the rogue K9, or the man he stopped. It was defined by his unwavering commitment to those who needed him most. She sat beside him, brushing his fur, whispering, "You'll teach them everything, won't you? Every lesson, every move, every heartbeat." He pressed his head against her shoulder, eyes softening but alert. Lily smiled through her tears. "I know you will, and maybe, one day, I'll join you. Maybe I'll be one of the next K9 handlers following in your paw prints." Titan's tail thumped lightly, a slow, steady rhythm as if approving the idea. The storm of the past weeks, fear, danger, exhaustion, was finally giving way to something new: hope. A bond between a girl and a dog that had faced death, terror, and disbelief, stronger than any obstacle. And though the little girl he had saved, the rogue K9, and the man from the woods were now behind them, the story wasn't finished. Titan's heart still beat, stubborn, determined, and full of courage. Lily's heart beat alongside his, learning, growing, and preparing for the next chapter. Outside, the town began to murmur of parades, recognition, and community honor. But inside the farmhouse, it was quiet, intimate: a girl, a dog, and a promise of continued service. Titan had survived, he had fought, he had conquered. But the world still needed him. And he was ready. His amber eyes flicked toward the horizon, scanning, alert. Lily brushed his fur gently, whispering promises and plans. He pressed his head into her hands, muscles still trembling but heart strong. The bond between them had deepened beyond heroics or recognition. It was a shared understanding of bravery, loyalty, and sacrifice. And as the sun dipped behind the Tennessee hills, casting long shadows across the farmhouse yard, Lily whispered, "We're just getting started, Titan. Just getting started." The old K9 gave a faint, contented whine, tail thumping once, twice, and slowly rising to meet the next adventure. The night had tested him, the forest had challenged him, and the storm had threatened him. But Titan, brave, loyal, and unbroken, was still here. And the best was yet to come. Word of Titan's heroics had spread far beyond the Carter farmhouse. The little girl's family, once strangers to Lily and Titan, visited daily, bringing flowers, cookies, and quiet gratitude. Teachers, neighbors, and even reporters from Nashville made trips to the small Tennessee town to meet the dog who had done what no one thought possible. A sense of awe and disbelief rippled through the community. The same townspeople who had once laughed at Lily's useless dog were now planning parades, ceremonies, and honors for him. The morning of the parade arrived bright and clear. Sunlight sparkled on the wet streets, remnants of the recent storms glinting in puddles. Children waved handmade signs reading, "Titan, our hero and bravery comes in all sizes." Families lined the streets, phones raised, ready to capture the moment the dog who had once been dismissed as useless became the symbol of courage, loyalty, and hope. Lily stood at the edge of the crowd, Titan sitting obediently by her side. He was calm, alert, and dignified, no longer the trembling, exhausted dog of weeks past. His scars were still visible, a testament to battles fought, but his posture radiated quiet confidence. People stopped in their tracks as they saw him. Whispers filled the air. "There he is. That's the dog who saved her. Look at him. He's magnificent." The parade began. Marching bands, local firefighters, and town officials processed down the street. Titan was front and center, walking proudly beside Lily, his harness polished, his leash held with care. Officers who had once been skeptical now saluted him, heads bowed in respect. Cameras flashed, capturing every determined step he took. Lily felt a swell of pride and emotion she couldn't put into words. She had believed in Titan when no one else did. She had defended him when neighbors whispered doubt. She had watched him fight, save lives, and almost give everything he had to the world. And now he was being recognized not just as a dog, but as a hero. The mayor stepped forward, microphone in hand, addressing the crowd. "Today," he began, voice ringing clear, "we honor a hero unlike any we've ever known. Titan, a retired K9, has proven that courage, loyalty, and dedication have no age. He saved a child, protected his community, and reminded us all of the power of determination." Cheers erupted, and Lily felt Titan's head press lightly against her side. His amber eyes scanned the crowd, calm and steady, yet sharp as ever. The applause and attention didn't fluster him. He had always acted from instinct, from loyalty, not recognition. But the response of the town, every smile, every cheer, every tear, was affirmation of something Lily had known all along. Titan's life had meaning far beyond what anyone had expected. After the ceremony, the crowd parted to let children and families approach him. Titan stood patiently, allowing pats on the head, gentle hugs, and careful scratches behind his ears. Lily knelt beside him, whispering encouragement. "Go on, boy. Let them see how amazing you are." Even the little girl he had saved approached, clutching a handmade medal she had colored herself. "I wanted you to have this," she said shyly, holding it out to Titan. He sniffed it gently, then pressed his nose against it as if understanding its meaning. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause at the tender moment. Neighbors who had once mocked Lily's choice approached, heads bowed, humility in their eyes. "I was wrong," one whispered, voice shaking. "I never believed he could do all that." Lily smiled faintly, brushing Titan's fur. "It's okay," she said. "You can believe now." The parade continued for blocks, with Titan at its heart, followed by Lily. People waved flags, children cheered, and even strangers who had heard the story online came to pay their respects. Titan walked steadily, old leg moving carefully but determinedly, his scars and gray fur a badge of honor. He had been laughed at, doubted, and dismissed. Now he was celebrated, and he bore the admiration with quiet dignity. After the parade, the mayor presented Titan with a large plaque honoring his service and bravery. Lily held him close as the plaque was raised high. Cameras clicked, flashes illuminated the scene, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Titan, exhausted but composed, gave a soft whine, pressing his head against Lily's shoulder. But even amidst the celebration, Lily noticed Titan's eyes flicking toward the edge of the street, scanning. Instinct, honed over years of service, still guided him. No parade, no applause, no crowd could erase the sense of vigilance that pulsed through him. That night back at the farmhouse, the adrenaline of the day subsided. Titan lay on his blanket, eyes closing slowly, muscles relaxing for the first time in weeks. Lily sat beside him, brushing his fur, tears glistening in her eyes. "You did it, Titan," she whispered. "You've saved lives, hearts, and now a whole town believes in you." He nudged her hand gently, tired but attentive. His body may have weakened over time, but his heart, his courage, and his loyalty remained unshakable. In the days that followed, Titan became a local legend. Schools invited him for demonstrations. Hospitals requested visits for children in recovery. Local law enforcement wanted him to help train new K-9 units. He was more than a retired dog, he was a symbol of courage, resilience, and hope. And yet, Lily knew this was only the beginning. The bond between them had grown stronger than ever, forged in fear, danger, and survival. Titan had saved lives, but he had also taught Lily the true meaning of bravery. To act in the face of fear, to protect without hesitation, and to never underestimate the power of loyalty. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Tennessee hills, Lily and Titan sat on the porch. The air was calm, the forest quiet, but Titan's ears twitched, alert as always. He rested his head on her lap, eyes scanning the horizon. "You're amazing, you know that," Lily whispered. "You've done things no one else could, but I think there's still more for us." Titan gave a faint, contented whine, tail thumping once against the porch. Lily smiled, brushing his fur. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together, always." And as the night settled over the town, the story of the little girl and her useless dog spread far and wide, inspiring hearts, changing minds, and proving that even the most underestimated can achieve the unimaginable. Titan had become a hero, not because he was perfect or strong, but because he never gave up. He had faced danger, fear, and doubt, and had emerged victorious. But Lily knew, as she stroked his fur, that the final chapter of their journey wasn't written yet. The bond they shared, the lessons they had learned, and the courage they carried, it was far from over. And somewhere deep in the forest beyond the town, a shadow stirred, a reminder that Titan's vigilance and heroism would soon be tested again. The hero of Tennessee slept, but his heart was still awake. The night came quietly at first, the town of Carter asleep under a canopy of stars. Titan lay on his blanket in the farmhouse living room, muscles finally relaxing after weeks of exhaustion, but his ears twitched, alert to sounds Lily couldn't hear. He had survived every danger thrown at him. A rogue K-9, a man who wanted to harm a child, and the forest chase that had nearly broken him. Yet something in the night air felt different, ominous, unseen, and pulsing with tension. Lily, curled beside him, half asleep with a book forgotten in her lap, noticed the shift immediately. "Titan," she whispered, voice trembling. His ears flicked. His amber eyes snapped open, shining with a familiar, unyielding intensity. The calm of the night was gone. A low growl rumbled in Titan's chest, vibrating through the wooden floors. Lily's stomach sank. "What is it?" she asked, gripping his fur. Titan didn't answer in words. He didn't need to. His posture, his gaze locked on the shadows outside the window, spoke volumes. Danger had returned. A figure slipped through the trees beyond the yard, silent but deliberate. Lily's heart pounded. The rogue K9 had been captured weeks ago, but the man they had caught in the forest had associates, and now the air was thick with a threat she could feel but not see. Titan rose, trembling slightly, but strength radiated from him, resilience forged in scars, training, and loyalty. "Titan, wait," Lily pleaded. She grabbed his collar, but he shook her off gently, nudging her to stand. His growl deepened, reverberating like a warning. There was no hesitation. The protector inside him had returned. The man emerged from the shadows, masked, armed, with a glint in his eye that made Lily's blood run cold. He had tracked Titan and Lily, determined to reclaim what he had lost: revenge, intimidation, and control. He raised his hand, and the moment froze like a heartbeat hanging in the dark. Titan didn't flinch. His body coiled, muscles ready. He had faced danger before, but this was different. His old injuries screamed with pain, his chest heaving from exhaustion, yet his resolve was unshakable. He let out a ferocious bark, one that seemed to split the night, announcing clearly, "You will not touch her." The man laughed, low and menacing. "You think a little dog can stop me?" he sneered. "I've handled dogs like you before." Titan's growl deepened, a low, menacing rumble that shook the porch. Lily's heart raced, but she didn't retreat. She stood beside him, her hand resting gently on his head. "Don't you dare," she said, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "He's not just a dog, he's my hero, and if you step any closer—" Titan lunged first. Despite the pain in his hind leg, he closed the distance in a flash, teeth bared, jaws snapping with precision. The man stumbled, caught off guard by the strength and speed of a dog everyone had once dismissed. Titan forced him back, growling, circling, his body moving like a living weapon. Lily grabbed a heavy broom from the porch, ready to help if needed, though she knew Titan was the real fighter here. Her eyes darted to the edge of the yard, where shadows shifted and the wind whispered through the trees. Another figure, she couldn't tell, but Titan's growl intensified. He wasn't just defending her. He was reading the environment, sensing threats unseen, a seasoned protector relying on instincts that even Lily couldn't comprehend. The man tried to regain his footing, swinging a metal rod with one hand, but Titan's precision was unmatched. With a swift maneuver, Titan ducked, dodged, and countered, forcing the man backward again. Lily couldn't believe what she was witnessing. The useless K9, old, injured, and once mocked, was fighting like a soldier, calculating every move with skill and courage. The man lunged again, desperate. Titan reacted instantly, snapping and biting to control, not to kill. He pushed the man off balance, forcing him into the mud of the yard. The fight was brutal but precise. Titan's determination overpowered raw aggression. Suddenly, another movement, quick, subtle, but unmistakable. Someone else had come with him, an accomplice hidden in the shadows. Lily froze, heart thundering, but Titan's eyes locked on the second figure immediately. He barked, a commanding, authoritative sound warning the intruder. The accomplice hesitated, giving the man a chance to escape, but Titan wouldn't let them. He lunged again, faster than Lily could comprehend, forcing both men toward the edge of the porch. The officers, alerted by the commotion, arrived just in time to apprehend the intruders. The men were restrained, struggling, shouting, but Titan held his ground, eyes burning with intensity, until every threat was neutralized. Lily ran to him, hugging him tight, tears streaming down her face. You did it again," she whispered. "You saved me, you saved us all." Titan, breathing heavily, head pressed against her chest, whined softly. His body trembled and his hind leg wobbled, but his eyes shone with clarity and loyalty. He had fought again, despite the exhaustion, despite the pain. He had proven once more that courage wasn't measured by age or appearance. The officers, now calm and attentive, looked at him in disbelief. He's incredible," one murmured. "I've never seen anything like this." The little girl who had returned to the farmhouse to check on Titan peeked in, wide-eyed. He saved us again?" she asked softly. Lily nodded. Yes, and he always will. Titan lay down beside Lily, exhausted but triumphant. His chest heaved, eyes closing slowly, but the fire inside him, the spirit that had refused to quit, that had saved lives time and again, remained unbroken. Lily stroked his fur gently. "You're more than a hero," she whispered. "You're family, and I promise we'll face everything together." Outside, the town awoke to the news. Titan had faced a new threat and emerged victorious once again. Social media erupted, headlines celebrating the bravery of the retired K9. The town that had once mocked the little girl for buying a useless dog now hailed him as a living legend, a protector, and a symbol of courage. But Lily knew something deeper. Titan's heroism wasn't just about fights, rescues, or recognition. It was about loyalty, love, and the willingness to stand when others faltered. He had taught her and everyone who watched that bravery was about heart, not size, determination, not youth, and courage, not perfection. Days passed. Titan recovered slowly with Lily by his side. The farm became a center of attention, visitors arriving to see him, to learn, to be inspired. He helped train other K9s, visited hospitals, and comforted children. Yet in every glance, every movement, he remained vigilant, as if ready to protect again if danger came. Lily often sat beside him in the evenings, brushing his fur, whispering stories of their adventures, and imagining the lives they had touched. "You're my hero," she said softly, pressing her forehead to his. "And you always will be." Titan nudged her hand gently, tail thumping once, a small but powerful gesture of understanding. He had fought, he had protected, he had inspired, and he had loved. In the quiet of the Tennessee hills, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the wind whispered through the leaves, Lily realized the truth. Heroes come in all shapes, ages, and sizes. And sometimes, the bravest hearts have 4 legs, scarred fur, and eyes that see danger before anyone else can. Titan, the dog who had once been laughed at, had proven it beyond any doubt. And though challenges would always come, Lily knew they could face them together, bound by trust, courage, and a love that could withstand anything. The night settled, peaceful for the first time in weeks. Titan rested his head on Lily's lap, breathing even, body still trembling faintly from past battles, yet stronger than ever in spirit. The farm was safe. The town was grateful, and the bond between a little girl and her extraordinary dog was unbreakable. Titan had faced the darkness, the storm, and the impossible, and he had emerged not just alive but legendary. The hero of Carter had completed his journey, but his legacy, the lessons of loyalty, courage, and perseverance, would live forever. And somewhere in the quiet hills beyond the town, the wind whispered his name, carrying with it the story of the dog who refused to be useless. Titan, a hero, forever.